Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Devin and I are continuing Middara Act 1. We just got done running through a labyrinth, I think. I don't really know where we went back in, and now we are continuing to Twice the Souls.
Twice the Souls. Remy brought up the rear as they struggled through the Eyrie. The sound of something following them was a constant pressure in her mind, reminding her of just how precarious their position was. There really were enough terrible things down here to threaten an entire city. In a way, it felt like they were penetrating into a fortress of monsters, and it was only through luck and a desperation that they'd survived as long as they had. Suddenly, the Shadow Lord was beside her. Its proximity alone made every ache and pain much harder to ignore. She could feel the power of its presence, even if it was only its image. It walked alongside her for a moment. "I have information for you," it said. "Information?" Remy asked nervously. Damocles slowed down to walk beside Remy, watching the Shadow Lord intently. "What kind of information? Are you going to tell us where our friend is?" "Yes," the Shadow Lord said. Everyone stopped and stared at him. "Wait, you are?" Damocles asked. The Shadow Lord stood firm. "What made you change your mind?" Remy asked. "We already asked you once before, and you just said we'd get lost and die." "Your friend, they're about to die," the Shadow Lord chuckled. "It will take immediate intervention on your part to prevent it." "What? Where is she?" Zeke asked, pushing past Damocles to stand near the Shadow Lord. "Take that passage," it said, indicating a nearby fork with a slight nod. "Continue until you find the stairs, and follow them to the very bottom. The hallway will lead directly to her." It vanished before anyone could respond. The area it occupied suddenly vacant. Shayless looked at Zeke warily. "We shouldn't trust it. It could be leading us into a trap." Zeke didn't even turn around, marching right past her down the fork the Shadow Lord had suggested. "If it weren't as dead, it could have killed us a long time ago." "We have to try," Damocles said, following after Zeke. "It's our best option."
My boy.
Shayless groaned. "Patrick, will you at least back me up here?" Patrick shifted uncomfortably. "It's probably screwing with us," he admitted, "but we have to check it out. And we know the Eyrie is large enough to wander around it for years and never find anything. If we go knowing it could be a trap, at least we won't be taken by surprise." "I'll never know how you all lasted this long," Shayla sighed, mentally noting where the obscene Rescindo's blood trail was before hurrying to catch up.
Then we continue on to Lucid.
The obscene Rescindo.
It's probably screwing with us. And me, I know a lot about screwing. I'm Patrick.
Lucid. Nightingale heard the scream of pain through the set of open doors. Without a doubt, something was wrong. She recognized the voice, and it wasn't Justice's. She reached out to stop Zeke, but he pulled out of her grip, shoving his way through the open door. Nightingale had no choice but to follow close behind him, her weapon at the ready. Beyond a massive set of double doors was a huge room with walls of deeply worn stone and channels cut into the floor. Their surfaces were stained brown with old blood. Several raised areas were set into the floor, work areas around which the widest channels ran. At the far end of the room, a desperate battle was taking place, but it was not the one they'd come for. Echo fought against a gigantic monstrosity. It looked a bit like a soul butcher, but larger with white armor covering its grotesque body. It held a giant serrated cleaver and was swinging it wildly. "Echo, this is bullshit! The Shadow Lord lied to us," Zeke growled. "Let's get out of here before that thing sees us." As he spoke, the butcher struck a resounding blow, very nearly ripping Echo's arm clean off. Instead of falling to the ground and bleeding to death, Echo's Esper appeared beside her, its strange limbs a blur as it stitched her back together. She screamed in agony as the needles flew in and out of her flesh.
God.
Even so, it was clear that she might lose against the monster. "We can't leave her!" Nightingale turned to Zeke, desperate. "Look at her! No one deserves this!" "She does," Zeke hissed. "She sent Justice here. She killed Damocles' mom, and who knows how many more. Or did you forget?" "Of course not. Look, killing her is one thing, but this is torture," Nightingale continued. "That could be me soon. If the Malama takes me over, I'll be just like Echo." Zeke shook his head. You're nothing like Echo. Echo made a few feeble dagger strikes at the large white monster, but it easily knocked her aside. It turned its attention to the Esper. So you're not alone, the butcher shouted with glee. I'll feast on some very exotic flesh tonight. The butcher struck out with another furious blow, this time not at Echo. The saw tore through the Esper's cloak, allowing some of the buzzing energy within to escape. The Esper screamed with a sound like shearing metal. It dropped the hook it was holding, threads still dangling from Echo's mangled body as the Esper folded in on itself and vanished. There, the butcher shouted. Let's see how long you last without outside interference. I'm sure I can finish devouring you before it even returns. Echo retreated, eyes widening with horror, as if she were just now understanding the gravity of her situation. She looked around the room desperately, suddenly fixating on Nightingale. Their eyes locked, and Nightingale saw a clarity that hadn't been there before. Help! Echo screamed, reaching out with a bloody hand. Please, don't leave me here. Nightingale moved forward. Echo's in trouble. If she's hurt or killed while her Esper is gone, she could die. We had enough trouble with the smaller ones. Shayless grabbed Nightingale's arm, stopping her from advancing. I won't let you risk our lives for her. She'll get what she deserves. Let's go. Damocles put a hand on his weapon. Let's save her. I want Echo's death to be by my hand. I deserve to be the one to take her life.
Jesus.
Nightingale glanced between her friends. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Rook!
I want to lean over and suck her last breath out of her body. Jeez, Damocles, that's a little dark.
You ever watch The Boys?
I've seen, like, bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces, okay. Just one of the characters makes that, like, watch the lights go out. Like, she likes to watch the guy die and, like, the final moments. I thought that was chilling as fuck.
Really?
I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, fucked up moments in there that, like, I've seen most of those because Kat shows me. And I'm like, that's, something else.
Emmy? She asked, watching in horror as the creature kicked Echo, sending her across the floor with a scream. The girl coughed up blood onto the dark stone and gasped for air while clutching at her stomach. Remy shook her head. I'm done trusting people who hurt my friends. I'm sorry, Knight, but we need to focus on justice. This could take too much time. Rook nodded. Your safety is my concern. Echo has already committed treason by trying to kill you. She deserves punishment, but this is just cruel. That thing is going to tear her apart. Nightingale pleaded with her friends.
All right, we do not have the story flag reluctant partnership, so we continue to... I made a promise, Mr. Baggins. A promise.
I made a promise.
Don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee. Don't you? And I don't mean to. You don't fucking get it.
I hate that movie.
I made a promise. I made a promise to Zephyr. Nightingale pulled away from Shayless's grip. I won't go back on that. Rook put his hand on Nightingale's shoulder. Zephyr tried to kill you. You can't let him try to kill you again. This is time we don't have, Zeke insisted. Let's just get back to the blood trail. Nightingale glanced between her friends, hands shaking with fear. She never had to do something all her friends wouldn't have liked before. But did she really have to try and save Echo?
The Nightingale player must make a decision. Try and save Echo. You made a promise to Zephyr. Or leave Echo to die. Your friends are right.
Call, sir.
Huh? It is my call. Yeah, they will let her die. I don't see any reason why, besides the fact that it's like, well, she didn't really have a choice, yada yada yada. But it's like,
how much are you gonna stretch out for that?
Right, and
which I can see that. Like, she's been a huge thorn this whole time.
Yeah, and also it's like I can definitely see an argument like for saving her, but I also
like them goth titties,
like them big old milkies. But I also hate Zephyr.
Fair enough.
So it's like, because he was like. And again, it's like I kind of see from his point of view until he became a hypocrite. When he's like, I will do anything, to make sure that it's like, except whenever it's my own personal matters are concerned, then I'll make an exception. It's like, oh, so you're just a hypocrite. So, Yeah, I would leave her to die. What do you think?
What do I think? I mean, do I think she's bound against her will? Yes. But she's been just the worst.
Yeah, it's like pure victim blaming right here. We're just like, it's Echo, you suck. And she's like, I am being kept alive by some torturous creature bound against my will.
Yep, and now she's gonna get murdered in this place to have her soul trial. Well, we're gonna kill the Shadow Lord anyway, so.
Yeah, Act 2 and 3, it doesn't even contain the Shadow Lord.
Yeah.
Like,
There's 3 Shadow Lords. He's gonna be a common enemy.
yeah. Oh, neat.
Your call, sir. I assume it's gonna lead into a boss fight if we want to help her.
I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna leave Echo to die. Your friends are right, which continues on to Splatter.
Oh, no.
Get me out of here. Yeah. And if Saphira comes after me, well, you can be with her, dude. I'll kill you too.
Splatter. You're right, Nightingale said, hesitating. We need to find justice and get the Pontifex as soon as possible, Zeke said, putting a hand tightly on her shoulder, afraid that Nightingale might bolt to aid Echo anyway. Nightingale stared at Echo, transfixed with horror as the girl pleaded to them for help. Echo screamed, her voice stretched into a strangled agony. Even Zeke couldn't help but glance back in spite of himself, watching as the butcher rammed its blade into her torso. It tore at her, opening her chest and spilling viscera onto the floor with a wet thud.
Oh.
It didn't even wait until she finished screaming to start eating her.
Oh my god.
Even as Zeke pulled out her arm, Nightingale couldn't take her eyes away from the horrific scene before her.
You got the
Then
story
something
like
even worse
PTSD.
Something that she wished she hadn't seen. An enslaved spirit floated nearby her corpse, and something began emerging from Echo's mouth. Even Zeke slowed his pace to watch. The creature sucked at her corpse with ethereal stings of electric energy that pulled at the essence of her body, and slowly, a screaming image of Echo's ghostly form had reappeared. Torn from her body, the image screamed and sobbed in agony as it stood watching her own corpse. Her form was blurred along the edges, and looked as if it was almost floating on the ground. Echo watched the butcher as it ate her still warm body. Suddenly, the Shadow Lord appeared beside her. The butcher didn't seem to notice or even care that he was there. Just look at them, the Shadow Lord said. His voice was clear despite being across the room. They stood and watched you die, Echo, and now you get to serve me. Your soul is mine, to do with what I want. I wanted them to see you like this. I wanted them to see what they have to look forward to when they die. An eternity with you and I. Echo's soul looked down at her ruined body, eyes widening with horror. The ghost of Echo dropped to her knees and wept. Nightingale was dragged back the way they had come, Zeke now effortlessly pulling at her as she limply followed.
Alright, well that was pretty gruesome.
Yep.
We gained the story flag, good riddance.
Good riddance.
Hey, at least we got some nice, like, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Mom.
Mommy.
And then we move on to losing it. I'm losing it. I have to just go so far down. Is that it? I think that is it.
Losing it.
Okay.
They eventually found themselves back in a small antechamber of dark stone where the blood trail was. Nightingale found a clear path of ground and collapsed, shaking all over. She couldn't banish the sight of Echo's gruesome death from her mind. When she closed her eyes, she saw her screaming for help over and over. The terrible gushing sounds her body had made when the butcher cut into her replayed, causing her to feel sick to the stomach. Nightingale curled up on her side and thought she might vomit. She held it down.
Oh, God.
She was tougher than she had been since leaving Alenia. Death seemed to follow them, and the thought caused her to shiver even more. Holy shit, Remy muttered, her voice a feeble whisper. Did you see what the Shadow Lord did to her? Yeah, it turned her into some sort of slave, Damocles said, just as surprised. We need to get the Pontifex and get the hell out of here. I guess I don't feel too bad it wasn't me who killed her after all. I think her fate is much worse than anything I could have sentenced her to. Remy suddenly snapped at him. So what? She deserved that? That poor girl watched herself get eaten.
Remy, get the fuck off his back. Like, watch your mom die, and then come at someone. Be like, oh yeah, I'd forgive someone who did that. It's like, shut up. Just because your dad's obviously a monster and the true villain of this whole series.
I know. She didn't... Because, like, in our story, she didn't witness him just straight up Isling, like, while they were all there.
Oh, in our story here?
Yeah, we saved her, but in mine, he just fucking
just
rips
kills
her
her?
neck open while everyone's around in the fucking square. Fucking does her in.
And she's like, Daddy! Don't worry, guys. He knows what he's doing.
Damocles looked unmoved. That poor girl killed my mom. If she hadn't destroyed the Aegis Stone, we wouldn't even be here.
She did destroy the Aegis Stone. She's done a lot of fucked up shit.
And Greyhaven would be safe.
That's true.
If you ask me, she got what she deserved. Remy stepped forward and began to argue, but Rook put a hand on her shoulder. Come on. She's not our concern now. Let's focus on justice. The two nodded, but didn't stop locking eyes. Justice? Nightingale muttered, and the group turned to look at her. Nightingale had a brief image of Justice dying like Echo, torn open and forced to watch herself get eaten.
No, see,
She
that's a
wasn't
different
sure if it was
story.
the Malama imparting the image that made it so vivid, or if it was her own imagination. But she shook, wrapping her arms around herself. Rick watched a moment in silence, his expression darkening as Nightingale ran a clammy hand through her sweat-ridden hair. She looked even thinner than normal now, like she had been fasting far too long. Rick wondered when the last time she ate was, and could only remember her picking at her plate at the Amaranthine. It was obvious that the Malama was going to get its way if they didn't hurry. Shayla stepped beside Rook and watched Nightingale mumble to herself, talking to the Malama presumably. Nightingale eventually bit her lip and glanced towards them. It was right. The Malama is right. It's always been right. Shayla leaned in and pulled Nightingale into a gentle hug. Hey, we've got this. It isn't your fault. There's no... Nightingale pushed her away and stood straight with her eyes wide. No, it wasn't my fault. It was yours. She looked around, eyes wild. All of you. You're cowards who hesitated to help her. If we hadn't bickered and just acted, she might still be alive. Whoa, Night. Calm down. Zeke held out a hand and Nightingale slapped it away. How can I be calm? Look what I did. Greyhaven is screwed. We're screwed. I'm going to die. Nightingale was crying now, but she didn't care to hide it. Instead, she began pacing and muttering more to herself. We have to make this all count for something, Zeke eventually said, watching with the same concerned expression everyone else had. If we can get the Pontifex and justice, if we can do that, it won't be in vain. Come on, Knight. Let's finish this. Yeah, Nightingale eventually said, taking a deep breath.
That was easy.
The Malama says the Shadow Lord won't let us escape now anyway.
Then we continue on. Nightingale's so fucking hot and cold. Like, there are times where I'm like, there we go, and then it's like, God, you're so annoying. God, you're annoying. Everything you say is annoying. Then we continue on to Shrug.
I bet you Echo would have been the 10th party member. If we'd say
That is the... There's two more. Oh, Zephyr.
Yeah.
Zephyr and Echo.
Shrug.
100%.
They
that
followed
would've
the
been a
blood
boss fight.
trail until it led straight to a large set of doors. They were massive, spanning at least
There's
20
two
feet.
boss fights
The
now.
group stopped to stare up at the doors as a sense of impending dread fell over them. From
Great,
behind
now I
the
get to
doors,
do them.
a small clicking sound began. Rick noticed that the doors were open slightly as the noise became louder. Don't tell me that's another gatekeeper, Nightingale moaned. The clicking stopped, and from behind the door a familiar voice echoed. I can leave if you'd like. Lakshmi? Rick asked, stepping forward. Lakshmi held a lantern up, illuminating the group. I was drawn to this place.
You look like shit.
Though I never thought I'd find repeat customers. Zeke jumped forward. We can definitely use your help. I suppose you're still going to charge us money though, huh? Lakshmi stopped and looked around at the group, nodding her head with a strange, stuttered movement as she did. Of course. She sounded cheerful. All of us have to make a living. Zeke raised an eyebrow. Do you though? Whatever. Let's see your most dangerous stuff. Lakshmi began dumping items from her bag. Please, Come and find what you may need. Perhaps we may all discover our destiny today.
And we finally get a goddamn story round.
Oof.
Freak. Oh, we also restore.
Okay.
So, we restore and, yep, shop and train. All rare items, all upgrades. 1 random rare unique item. All non-unique accessories, 3 random mundane common, and then, yep, no side quests. That'd be kind of odd. So yeah, the only thing we can do is continue on with the main quest. But we now get to finally spend our 2,076 gold.
Okay. Goodness gracious.
Which we will do all that off camera, so I hope you enjoyed this shorter series, or the shorter episode. Stick around for the rest of it. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.